Come on, doesn't that get you pumped up? I had to be down there babysitting the recording because the camera was being temperamental with its connection. Oh my gosh. So, this was originally going to be a live stream this evening. For some reason or another, OBS decided it just wasn't going to authenticate with Twitch anymore, so I gotta figure that out. So, I was like, I'm still in the mood to play some Sega CD, so I was like, well, I happen to have a channel on YouTube, so we'll make a video for that. So, what is gonna change, though, is, you know, of course, whatever scripts, not a script per se, kind of a general idea of what I figured I was going to say on stream. So you figure, you know, passersby will probably have questions about the game if they haven't played this, or about the Sega CD or whatever, so. But otherwise, kind of expect to wing it. And then also, my idea is on a stream, you can get away with kind of stretching the show out a little longer. And if you're trying to challenge or something new, yeah, you can always, you know, take a break, chat with your audience. And of course, people expect that, you know, you're going to want to take a restroom break or a hydrate break or something at some point, so it feels more natural for that to be a little longer form. The reason I say that is because my intention was to do a run where I'm not only collecting all the time stones and getting the best ending, but still going back in time and taking out all of the Metal Sonic holograms, because those do not automatically get destroyed when you get all the time stones, unlike the roboticizers. It doesn't have any bearing on the ending. It was just a personal challenge idea. And then, in so doing, also show people that, yes, it's totally possible, and even reasonably accessible. I think that's might have been a better way I could have put that, but it's like time travel to the past. Like, if you were to do it the hard way, without the time stones, like, there's at least one spot in every level where you can pretty easily time travel, so it's not nearly as difficult and obtuse as I think a lot of people make it out to be. But I think I'm just gonna time travel. I'm just kind of in a habit of doing it anyway. Like, basically until I get the time stones, it's kind of like, well, I'm still trying to get good futures, whatever way I can, and then once you get the time stones, then by default when you fight Robotnik, it's always gonna be in a good future, so. So either when I get a chance to stream this, or if I do a separate recording where it's just straight up gameplay, no commentary, not me on camera, then I might try that challenge. Oh, I totally borked that. I know better. There's another. But yes, in case I hadn't already indicated, and you hadn't already figured it out just by looking and listening, this is on original hardware. my original copy of Sonic CD. So, back in the day, I bought a Sega CD just for this game. I had no regrets. So, every other game that I got to play on Sega CD was a bonus. So while we're talking about kind of like overblown myths, if you will, and somewhat inaccurate information, there's a story that gets passed around a lot of the gaming community, especially anyone talking about retro games. And this seems to be more prevalent among people who weren't even born in the 20th century, let's say. Would-be pundits and experts in the gaming field just talk about the Sega CD in the same breath as the 32X, and just say that it's just a complete failure and a disaster and an embarrassment, and there's no redeeming qualities, and it's just a glorified FMV player. Like, wrong, 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 wrong. You know, it wasn't a success, really. Especially not, you know, what Sega had wanted or envisioned. But unlike the 32X, which was an unmitigated disaster, critically and commercially, you understand, Sega CD sold a few million units, and we're talking about, you know, an add-on that required a Genesis or Mega Drive in the early 90s. Like, that's not insignificant. And the important thing to also factor in is that, even back then, making software on CD was way cheaper than cartridges, in most cases. So, while Sega, I think, made some mistakes as far as the chipset and how expensive they made the unit at launch, they were still making good money on the software. So it's not like it was something that tanked the company. No, the 32X was something that was like, yeah, that was pretty bad, like, all across the board. But people also, like, would-be gaming historians talk about the Sega CD and the 32X as if it's an anomaly that no one else did this. It's like, NEC did the TurboGrafx CD and the PC Engine Duo and all the other variants. CD add-on. Now, arguably, they probably did a better job, because a lot of Turbo CD games were more so like, hey, these are games you already kind of expect to play on PC Engine or TurboGrafx, but just with your CD quality sound and enhanced sound effects, and you could have bigger games because you have more storage space than on the cartridge or the HuCards formats. And then, of course, there's the Neo Geo CD, and then there's... Not that you would ever want to be compared to this, but, you know, there was also the Jaguar CD. And Nintendo was going to do their own CD add-on, you know. At one point, they worked with Philips, and that's how Philips got the license to use Zelda and Mario. If you know how that turned out, you know. And then they were going to work with Sony, and they backed out on that deal, and that resulted in this little thing called the PlayStation. So. But the Nintendo Famicom had a disk drive, and then there was the 64DD, which, if you want to talk about boneheaded notions, Nintendo was going to try to push what was essentially a floppy disk reader in the late 90s for the 64. Like, yeah, Sega did not have the monopoly on poorly thought out console add-ons that were tone deaf as to what was going to be popular on the market. And yeah, the Sega CD does have its fair share of FMV slop, like. But, you know, so did the 3DO and the CDI and, you know, various other systems of its time, and also PC in that time. But some of those games are actually good. Or at least, they have a reasonable entertainment value. Besides just playing them ironically. But, yeah, gotta tell ya, some serious ignorance going around if you dismiss games like this. Or the Lunar games on Sega CD, hello. Shining Force CD, Vi. Got Road Avenger, Dragon's Lair. Robo Aleste. Sylphid. Soulstar. The awesome Super Scalar version of Batman Returns. Like, the best version of Final Fight that made it to home consoles back in the day. No dispute. Especially if you talk about it in terms of, like, what was closest to the arcade. The best 16-bit version of Mortal Kombat. In most respects, I know some of you probably still would prefer it on Super Nintendo, that's okay. You didn't get to Blood and Gore, though. Just... yeah, there's more than 200 officially released titles on Sega CD, so it's not insignificant. It's not the flop that, again, would-be gaming scholars today make it out to be. Alright. These are my favorite special stages in any Sonic. I love the scaling and rotation. I love the music. The aesthetics are so cool. Like, some of these stages feel like very anime. Like, there's some in particular that make me think of Sephiroth. Like, they could have been in Magic Knight Grey Earth. And I have this running personal theory, because I don't think it's in the manual or any official materials. To my recall. But my impression of the special stages, it's kind of like these little pocket dimensions of time and space that show where the little planet has been before. Like different parts of the universe at different times. And that's where the time stones are protected. So Sonic is going to, like, different parts of Little Planet's history in its journey across the galaxy or the universe. Super cool. I love it. Love the music too. Now, often I do prefer Japanese compositions to Western ones in games that have soundtrack variations, but this is one instance where, although I think both OSTs are fantastic, I do prefer the US soundtrack. It's such a mood, such a vibe. The guitar work is fantastic. It's just... Am I in the wrong place? Put that aside here. Oh, I am. I'm so close. I normally get that first try. Oh, come on, really? You're gonna do me like that, game. Okay, I'll go this way. I can't go that way. Unless I go... like this. There is a little bit of slowdown in this version. It generally does run smoothly and responsibly, but there seems to be a little bit of hitching here and there. It doesn't really, in my opinion, hurt the playability, but you know, compared to the Christian Whitehead version, you know, it is a little choppier. And that's a really good version, and that just shows you the leap in quality of taking a game and converting it to run natively on new hardware, and in that case on a new engine, versus just dumping the game into an emulator and calling it a day. That's why the Sonic CD version that you got on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network is such a leap in quality over the Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles versions, which are just thrown in an emulator. I think it's a lost art to convert games to run natively on different systems. This stage reminds me of Zeal and Chrono Trigger. That's always a good thing. Maybe a little planet visited, Zeal. Who can say? Actually, scratch that. I don't really like crossovers very much. It's one of those things that I'm sure that I say, and someone's gonna be like, unsubscribed! Like that time that I said I didn't like Super Smash Brothers. I'm sure at least one or two people were like, unsubscribed! If I had to play any Smash game, I would just play the original N64 and call it a day. Just not really into it. Look at this bright, clean future. This is the kind of future I can get behind. Minus Robotnik and his death machine shenanigans. Could you not do that? Thank you. This is my favorite Sonic game, in case I haven't said it. One of the things I really like, I'm sure other people have pointed this out at various reviews, the 8 million and counting retrospectives that are on YouTube. But, like, these stages feel like somewhat more like refined and fleshed out versions of the Sonic 1 stages. Like, obviously this is like Labyrinth Zone, but it does feel, you know, not as cheap in places and not as quite as choppy. It's kind of a more fully realized version of that stage. Love the China symbols and the splashes used in this arrangement. It's beautiful. Probably harder to appreciate if you're not a drummer. Or not listening to music played by real people on real instruments, but it's a beautiful thing. Oh, what the heck? Okay, yeah, keep the bubble. I beseech thee for an air bubble. See, all you have to do is beseech. And you have to beseech nicely, but, you know. Oh, you know, while I was back there, I should have, I'm not gonna finish that sentence, because it wouldn't make sense. Because I'm not in the past yet. This music's so beautiful. I beseech thee for some air. Nicely. Thank you. Oh yeah, this stage looks like it could be an Outrun 2019, which, you know anything about me at this point on this channel, and you know I love my Outrun 2019. Come on, Sega. If you don't want to pony up a new Ferrari license, or anything similar, make a sequel to Outrun 2019. If you want me to transfer money from my purse and or account to your account, well, we need more Vector Man, but also more Outrun. It didn't look like it should have missed, but clearly it did. You jerk face. I'm a fan. Slow down, Sonic. That's falling to style. It's so groovy. Are you serious? I should have started that run with a peel out. It had kept a lot more momentum. Darn it. Well, that was my fault. That was an easy place to time warp normally, but I just goofed him up. Unfortunately, we're not gonna do the time warp again there. It's so sad. Probably don't play this stage under the influence of any particular substances that alter the mind. Excuse me, I'm here to talk to you about our Lord and Savior, hardware-based sprite scaling and rotation. Yeah, but seriously, Ugh. That was like the biggest draw of the Sega CD, like conceptually. Like, truth told, it has more powerful hardware, sprite scaling, and rotation than even the Super Nintendo and its Mode 7. But it was woefully underutilized. See, as usual, Sega's biggest problem was competing against itself. It's like, you know, in Japan, the plan was laid out. The Sega CD is going to have these certain hardware capabilities. It's going to like upgrade the Genesis, and it would actually make it even more competitive with Super Famicom, Super Nintendo. And it would have made possible some really awesome further time versions of Sega's classic superscalers. Like, we could have gotten really good versions of Outrun, Afterburner, Galaxy Force. Also, a moment for appreciating the music, especially in the bad features, really adds extra emphasis to, like, how tragically doomed this planet is if Sonic doesn't save it. It paints a bleak auditory picture. Like, seriously, this soundtrack, even if you don't find this game appealing, listen to the soundtrack. It's incredible. But yeah, it's like Sega, but Japan treated Sega of America as though it was a competitor, like some other company out to steal its secrets. You know, they barely shared to the West, like, what they needed to implement and market the Sega CD, and also, like, what they were trying to accomplish with it, so that's a big part of the reason why in the West it ended up getting marketed more as, like, an FMV player. So that was, like, at the time, seemed like an exciting technology, and it seemed like, you know, the easiest and most obvious way to utilize the CD storage capacity. You know, because that's not something the Genesis could do. And it was popular on platforms at the time, like I said, you know, early 90s PC, 3DO, all that stuff. That was sloppy, but we did it. That may or may not be worth a phrasing. Who can just say? Who can say? So I generally do like the levels in this a lot, but this zone coming up, I'm not the biggest fan of. And that's probably... Oh shoot, no, not this one. Wacky Workbench. I skipped ahead in my brain. Because I'm silly. Don't get old, kids, this is what happens. Start going insane, but in really, really unexpected and unexplainable ways. Really? I don't want to go to the future. Not yet. Especially not the one in this timeline. Gotta be a pass sign that I missed somewhere here. The game. Here. There we go. Nope, nope. That's dirty. Alright. No. I must have been thinking of Act 2. The spot where I wanted to time travel. Little sketch, but it worked. The other advantage to time traveling is if you really screwed up and burn through the available rings in one time period, they'll all be replenished in another, so you can get your 50 rings for the special stage. Did I say you could do that? Okay, really? Okay, went back too far. Yeah, for the hologram I did. I was also thinking of Act 2, where that's like toward the beginning. So then the hologram is... Hold on, game, will you? Cooperate. Oh my gosh, really? Bear with me, folks. I'm dealing with some questionable physics here. Okay. Really? You... I should know better. I should know better. I've only been playing this since 1994. I picked up a Sega CD later in its life. I mean, well, I don't have the receipts, so it might have... It could have been the tail end of 93. It's when Sega already had the Model 2 Sega CD, and it was... wasn't cheap, but it was definitely marked down pretty decent chunk from its original retail price. Where the heck is the hologram? Well, we're starting to get toward the time limit here, so I'll have to just let that one go. Unless I run right into it. Yeah. We can save that for our, like, attempt at perfectionism playthrough, whenever that happens. Yes. Let's get the final timestamp. Super cool. You thought you were clever. But you didn't think you were wrong. Come to me, O scaled sprites. Yes. I hear you. Oh yeah. You dastardly bastard. Is there anything else that rhymes with bastard? I'm not sure. I'm not looking at them. In case you're not already made aware, we don't look up anything on the internet while we're running the show. So, whether it's on Twitch, or pre-recorded like this. The only thing I use the internet for, aside from, obviously, the stream itself, you know, I'll use my dumb glass rectangle of stupidity to, like, watch the chat in Twitch. That's it. Or to check. The only messages I would ever check would be from my partner. Right. Now we're just gonna power through. Check out that foreground. Foreground scrolling. I wanted to keep saying scaling. It's like, no, it wasn't a scaling effect. Look, we made a good future. Isn't it great? Some of my favorite music in the game. It's so good, don't argue with me. A lot of these Sonic CD bosses are kind of easy and kind of gimmicky, but I appreciate that at least most of them have a different flavor than your typical Sonic bosses with, you know, you got Robotnik and his egg pod, he's got a different weapon on it, he takes 8 hits. Nothing wrong with that formula, it worked pretty well, but you know, I do like that. Things got shaken up a little bit. Oops. As I linger on the camera a split second too long and take a hit that I didn't need to. Whoops. I lost some style points there. Not your cleverest invention, Dr. Robotnik. Cracked so badly, y'all. Sorry, I thought I was gonna sneeze for a split second, but please don't. We don't want that on the recording. The only sniffles allowed are for genuine emotional moments. Like we had a few of those when we played Metal Gear Solid. Could you not? Thank you. This level is a pain. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever played, by any means, but jeez. Especially if you are trying to do anything with time traveling, or finding, like, I think Act 2 has a particular secret. There's like a secret statue or something, I want to say. Yeah, it's a pain. But nah, but you're really not too tough. Still good music, though. Ooh, pardon me. This is the second recording. There were a few things I was unhappy with the first one, so I was like, well, since it's not a live show, you have the option to re-record, so I was like, alright, fine. Oh, alright, rational self, you got a point. Plus, I had forgotten to allow the intro movie to play the first go around. I was like, I could try to edit that in, but it would just work better if it's just there from the start, so. And then this time I could do a better job of explaining, like, what I was gonna do with the challenge, but since it's not a live show, I don't want to, like, stretch things out unnecessarily there. Yay! Good features were had all around. Got some serious, like, Victor Wooten style bass going on, I love it. I'll tell ya, this music does make Robotnik seem a little bit more scary and threatening. Like, that along with the music does make the stakes feel heavier. Are you serious? The jump that I usually do not mess up. It's usually here I get hit. Oh well. We still did it. With only a slight delay. Where you going, buddy? I love this level. It's like a turbo, ultra Starlight Zone. I think some people don't like it. It can be kind of obtuse and unfriendly, but... Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. next time. Is I keep going that way. Thank you. Coming up here is what is, in my opinion, the best boss battle in Sonic history. Opinions will vary, and that's okay. Ah, shoot. You know better, Jessica. How many hundreds of times have you made this jump? Or that one, for that matter. Oh, for Christ's sake. I don't need to one-up anyway. You know what, though? I do want the speech shoes. That's how you do it. See, kids, I show you what not to do sometimes. Oh jeez, oh jeez. Why I thought I could jump over him in that particular instance. Take that. Yeah, we rescued Amy. And Sonic was properly annoyed. Alright, this bastard of his own. Like, there are some levels that are easier in the past, but this is one of those where you're... At least the critical path to the exit seems to be easier to get to in the present. Even though things look less friendly in the present than in the past. Alright, I see how it is. I see how it is. Yeah. Really? Really? can't do it like a soccer announcer, nor would I want to, honestly. It is worth celebrating. Your madness sure is metallic these days. Actually, it might be worth going to the good future. Let's take a look. Maybe it'll be friendlier. Holy moly, that's... Good thing we have temporary iframes so we can have time warp. Well, sure, looks pretty. Still bombs though, that's a problem. I think that's only... Now I can't remember. Maybe it only has to stay in the present. I don't know what that squeak was. Again, there might be some insanity taking place here. Visuals are just so lush and gorgeous. Even if you don't care so much for, like, the raw level design from a gameplay perspective, like art direction on these levels is no joke. Top tier. And we got Tiny Side, so freaking adorable. It's a fun and inventive little gimmick. It does seem like, for the most part, the level layout is the same as the present, just... There might be some hazards that are a little bit toned down. It should not... All right. We made a good future in stereo. I don't need that life. That's not what that risk. Can I can't get out of that. Okay. This gives us more time. Are you serious? There's normally a longer window of time before the next platform spawns in. Like there, you just saw that. That's normally how that goes. Oh my gosh, really? Oh shoot, oh shoot. Oh shoot, oh shoot. Alright, I'll leave it to y'all in the comments. If we count that... dang it. For some reason the sound didn't load in for this bad guy. Normally his laser blast makes a sound. That's just, And also, one of these days, I will figure out how to beat this boss properly without getting hit. I know it can be done. Just like the window to hit in between those blades is not as... Maybe I should have just waited till he did that. I don't know. It looks like there's a larger gap to jump between and hit him, but... Wow, that... that burns all the biscuits in the oven, let me tell ya. Like, okay. Are we finally gonna do one of these Sonic, like, Let's Plays without one silly death? But I feel like, unlike Sonic 1 and 2, where I had deaths that were totally preventable, that one was like... Huh. Oh, whatever. I'm just being a baby. It's fine. This wasn't the perfectionist run anyway, necessarily, so...
star to the light. It's a supersonic flight, gotta keep it going. Sonic boom, sonic boom. Rubble gives you running faster. Sonic boom, save the planet from disaster. Sonic boom, sonic boom.
I'm not sure if I made it skip. I'm sorry. I don't think I tugged on the controller. Oh well. Sorry. Ruined the moment. Toei animation. I love this animation. Like, if we had gotten... I like the Sad Sonic cartoon, but... I'll tell you, even now, give me a cartoon animated, like, in this style. Bring back Jaleel White as the voice of Sonic. Like, no offense to the cast of the more recent Sonic games. But, yeah. I'd be in heaven. Shoot. I think the CD might have skipped again. I know what someone would say, well, if you did it digital, it wouldn't do that. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't. It would have to be a file corruption. Or something drastically wrong with your hard drive. I don't think it's the Sega CD. It's in pretty good shape, except for its RAM chip. The internal RAM refuses to be formatted, so something needs to be resoldered with it, or there's some other issue. This is my original Sonic CD disc. It just needs a mild resurfacing. Aw, thanks for too cool. I appreciate that. There's some very minor scratches, but you know, when we're talking single speed CD-ROM here, even minor scratches can sometimes throw it way off. It's from times mainly when I was just spinning it in a regular CD player for the music. Because the majority of Sega CD games you can just pop into any old CD player and just listen to all the audio. Alright, y'all. Sonic CD on Sega CD on a compact disc. Oops. We've already heard that song a few times. I love it to death, though. I don't care if you think it's cheesy. I mean, we're all allowed to have different tastes and different opinions. I love it. Yeah. Wanted to get some Sega CD love in here. It's, there are some games that are problematic because of the internal RAM issue, but I'm looking at a few on my shelf here that we can definitely play without that being an issue. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching. This is going to be the same kind of playlist as my Genesis My Story. Even though games like this have relevance to my childhood for sure, but the Sega CD playlist is probably going to be more so your traditional, more or less traditional Let's Plays, and then stuff where, like the Outrun Saturn videos I've been doing where it's just gameplay. So I don't know, depending on how long it takes to get this Twitch issue settled, I don't know when the next stream will be, because I was planning to stream a couple of Sega CD games besides this one, but we'll see. But yeah, one way or another, they'll end up here for you to watch at your leisure. But thanks again. Sorry, I'm starting to digress. Just getting excited to explore some of these games that I either haven't given a proper go in a while, or have never really finished. So, in some cases, I'll be exploring these just as freshly as you, unless you've already beaten them, and hopefully you're enjoying it for other reasons. But, thanks again. Stay Mega-driven, be excellent to each other, Party on, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, and or evening, whichever it's to be. Latest.